Good afternoon and welcome to the briefing room. My name is Matt Bowman, and this is a show by Warriors for Warriors. I have with me today, as we kick off our first segment, Dr. Tyrone Taborn. You know, when we talk about a show for Warriors by Warriors, it's really about service to nation. And so Dr. Taborn has so much experience supporting veterans in our military. He's a graduate of the Joint Civilian Orientation course. He's been on more aircraft carriers than I can name, getting familiarization flights and VIP flights. And he's been on submarines, even driving a submarine. So Dr. Taborn, welcome to today's show.
Hey, Matt, thank you. Excuse me. First of all, I want to thank you for your service to nation as a fighter pilot. That it's absolutely amazing. You know, I don't know if people understand fighter pilots. Uh, I have been on so many aircraft carriers, and what these men and women do to be able to land on a carrier, they are a special breed of excellence and innovation, and they have to understand so much. And so, Matt, just thank you for your absolute service to our nation. I'm excited about this show because we're going to speak truth to power. We want this to be a safe environment for our men and women out there in the fleet, that they can come in and we can talk about positive issues, but give you a voice about the real challenges that you're facing as well. And the Bay of Stars and Stripes Alumni Committee is made up of former admirals and generals, flag officers who are committed to our nation. When they took off the uniform, they did not take off their uniform of America. And our challenge today is to make sure that youth and other people of innovation and quality and thought have a role in our society. This is not about DEI. This is about quality of people. And we know that quality of people does not mean you exclude quality of people, women, people of color. We are who we are. We are good, and we demand, and we should fight. This is our country. We've given our lives throughout the year, and this is what this show will really explore.
And,
Matt,
Doc, that exploration of service to nation, of merit, and as the president and the secretary of defense said yesterday, you have to fight for the things that you believe in. And for us, it's building this pipeline of talent. It is mentoring. It is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and really preparing the next generation of Americans to serve our country. So, sir, I'm so excited to have you on today as we have this conversation about the weekly briefing, like what is going on in our world as veterans and how do we thrive in this current environment. So,
absolutely.
so the way the show works for those of you who are just tuning in is the show is broken into 4 segments. For the first 15 minutes, we're going to give veterans, whether you're an ROTC student or whether you're a retiree sitting at home, or whether you're a government employee who unfortunately has been affected by this government shutdown. We want to go around the world in this first 15 minutes and tell you the top news stories that you should be aware of. And so we're going to start, of course, in North America. This is our home. The United States of America is in North America. And the biggest issues affecting North America are 3 big issues. First and foremost, the government shutdown. Government shutdown is the elephant in the room. It is affecting so many of us, not just the millions of government employees who are sitting at the house, not just those essential personnel who are at work, but also those who are in fear of reduction in forces. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the government activities in Portland and how that affects those in the military and in uniform and veterans. We're going to talk a little bit about traumatic brain injury and the opportunities for veterans to get the help they need. And then the last thing in the United States we're going to talk about, which is kind of the elephant in the room, which is the 800 senior leaders who gathered in Quantico to hear the speech from our president, President Donald J. Trump, and also from our Secretary of Defense, Peter Hegseth. So we'll talk about all those issues. As we go to South America, listen, it's Venezuela. Venezuela. So if you're a veteran, you need to know about what's going on in Venezuela. Venezuela has not just been a huge part of the illegal immigration story, but also in the Caribbean. Those at the U.S. Southern Command are combating transnational threats there. When we go to Africa, Africa is the 30% of the world's minerals are in Africa. Africa Command is having conferences all this week in engagement with senior African leaders. So those of you who travel internationally to know about Africa, we hit the Middle East. It is the peace in the Middle East. It is Israel and Hamas. So for all the veterans who aren't watching the news, there are latest updates. There's peace agreements on the table. We'll see if Hamas takes that peace agreement. Traveling further north, we hit the European continent and Asia. So in Europe, it is Ukraine and Russia. 7,000 young people a week are dying, 1,000 a day. And as those of you who've worn the uniform and those of you who support those of us in uniform, we know that those are frequently 19-year-olds who are bearing the brunt of the policies. So it's very important that we're aware of that. And the last one is China. China has started Farmageddon for American farmers. China just bought $12 billion worth of soybeans from Argentina, which meant that American farmers are really suffering right now, especially large farmers and row crop farmers. And so that's a national defense issue, because if we don't have food on our tables, it affects all of us. So we've gone around the world. I know some people say, well, what about Australia? Well, Australia is buying weapons from the United States so they can defend themselves against big bad China. It's very important that they do that so that they can stay in defense. So for our veterans, going around the world, those are the topics. So before we bring on our guests, Doc, we've gone around the world. You're a news watcher. You're in the news. Any topics that you think that veterans and those who serve our nation, should know about?
Well, two things, Matt, jump out at me. One, let's talk about the meeting yesterday of 800 of the generals and folks. And I think the media has missed the point on that, Matt. I heard a lot of stuff about why do you bring all of these guys together and women together? It's a security risk, and why would you do that? Well, at the Bay of Stars and Stripes, we've had over 200 plus of the most senior people, not only in uniform, coming to Bay of Stars and Stripes every single year. So I am not hating on the Secretary of Defense for bringing people together, because it is not. And by the way, I also believe bringing everybody together is always positive, because a lot of us are siloed in our particular missions, and to have an opportunity to interact. And that's what Baya has done. Baya has brought all of these admirals and generals together with industry leaders, with CEOs of major corporations, and these people never even had that opportunity before. So I don't have a problem, and I doggone know well that we've got, we're the greatest military force in the world. We have brought all of these people together and never had a security problem. So I don't have a problem with that.
I think, Doc, a lot of people, that's an unusual take. So I'm glad to hear that. I think others across the entire political spectrum might have thought some concern. So it's great to hear you say that. All right.
Yeah, yeah. And Matt, and by the way, I am not talking about the message that was given. I am talking about solely. I think I'd never believe it's a bad idea to bring all of these folks together.
I agree, Doc. I agree that that is bringing leaders together. And that's what we do. As a matter of fact, this call is interactive. So if you're in the audience and you want to be a part of this discussion, if you have something to say, then you can email me your questions at mbowman@ccgmag.com. You can go to STEM City, USA, our 2D metaverse, and go into the Army room and hit video chat. And then you too can join in this call because we're having real talk. It's warrior to warrior, real talk. All right. So hearing that.
So Matt, let me bring up the second issue. I said I had two things. The second one is Venezuela. How much to blow up a ship? How much did that? You dropped a lot of bombs on a lot of people. How much money does it take? Just a rough guess to drop one of those bombs to blow up that. I'm not going to even get into whether it was legitimate or not, but I'm asking you a real question. How much does it cost to drop a bomb to kill 17 people?
Yeah. So Doc, I'll answer the question this way. I have fired missiles in combat. I have been shot at and shot back. It is never a good feeling to kill people, but it's what we do as warriors is fortunately kill people and break things. So the actual dropping of the weapons on individuals and on people is millions of dollars. Okay, it's millions of dollars per person. And that is because there's the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance that goes in finding them. There's tracking them. There's intelligence to make sure that they are who you think they are, that they're the bad guys who need to be taken out. And so I have great faith and confidence in our military men and women that the targets that they took out were the right targets. But it's millions of dollars, Doc. It really is no small endeavor. And I think, as the president said, the oceans are clear, and they would be because that's that loss of life and loss of treasure is significant. But yeah, Doc, to answer that question, it's millions of dollars to take somebody out, and those guys, those men and women, did it with precision and lethality, and that's what we do.
I'm very close with Admiral Michelle Howard. I would say she is a personal friend, not a casual friend. She's a personal friend of mine. I was having an internet conversation with her when she was taking out the Somalian pirates. And I was amazed. I'm like, she's talking to me and she's executing this mission literally around the same amount of time. I did not know it at that particular moment, but I found out later. And if people do not know who Michelle Howard is, shame on you.
Yeah.
You need to know.
One of our country's greatest warriors, literally a leader who can juggle about 100 things at the same time and still make the call at a split second to do what she had to do to protect those sailors and bring American citizens back. So yeah, she's one of my favorite heroes too. Admiral Howard is absolutely amazing. So I got an amazing leader who is a special guest for today's daily briefing. Brigadier General Arnold Gordon Bray is a warrior. He has been in Iraq so many times. It's not even, sir, great to have you. So he's been in Iraq. He has been a part of the 82nd. So he's been in Fayetteville. He has helped train the the leaders of the Iraqi defense forces as they were fighting Al Qaeda and the Taliban and others. So again, a conversation about warriors. We have one of America's greatest warriors here with us. Brigadier General, how are you, sir?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. And Dr. Taborn, good to see you again as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Matt, just so you know, we actually go back about 23 years as well.
We do.
So, this is the world's small. And of course, Admiral Michelle Howard, as you were talking about, we're also on speed dial because she is, in fact, a tremendous hero for our nation.
Yes, sir.
And indeed, everybody who raises their right hand to serve this nation, they do it for various reasons. But at the end of the day, even those who come in with the most basic survival needs, when they come in, you cannot go untainted. And I had a reporter from one of the most liberal papers in the country, and I won't say his name, but he came into my unit. I gave him complete free access. And within a month, his paper was saying, they've co-opted you. What did they do? And he said, I just got access to the truth. Because our troops will do that. They're tremendous people. And to us, we are made better because of who they are. We're exposed to some parts of our life that we might not otherwise have considered. And so to that end, we're all doing God's work. And I'm wondering if you're pointing at me or not, Matt. I just telling me what's up.
We're all heroes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So Matt, if you can, I've got to take just a very quick break. If you can, give me about a 1-minute pause, please.
Well, sir,
I got to do something. So I'm going to pause just for a second. I'll come right back to you, please.
Absolutely.
This is a hot one.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, as we take that 1-minute pause, I do want to talk about the camaraderie that happens among all of us who serve the nation. And whether you're a government civilian, whether you're a community leader who supports veterans, or whether you're a person who's worn the cloth of the nation, your service matters. And in this day and time, as we have the greatest transition of opportunity in the history of our nation, we want to make sure that we are mentoring the next generation. We want to make sure that we're recruiting America's best and brightest. We want to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to do to ensure that America stays the greatest country on earth, not just for our generation, but for generations to come.
So Matt, one of the things I just want to chime in, we're sitting in the metaverse, and I don't know if people are really comprehending what's happening. We're in the metaverse. We're in the David Stewart building, and David Stewart has been behind our military forever, and he funds this whole place of Tribute Hall, where we're being able to create a safe space for people, like-minded people on the platform. So I just want to give a shout out while we're here to David Stewart, the Dave Stewart family, Robert Stewart, who participates in BEA all the time, because we can't do this without support. Yeah. And WWT, which is his company, puts up the dollars that help us to do what we're doing today.
Well, Doc, I tell you, for the 2D metaverse for STEM City, at some point during our next show, we're going to take people there. But right now, I think it's important for people to know that it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can access the platform. If you want to put on a show like this show here, reach out to us. We are a platform for communication, for honest discussion. a place for veterans and all warfighters and those who serve our nation to come. So we are your home. And so always remember that. I also want to talk to you a little bit about what comes up next, right? So the general will be back on in a second. Then I have another special guest who's going to talk about veterans and changes in transition and how you do that. And then at the end, we will have commentary. And in that commentary, that's your chance to ask questions. So the email address is mbowman@ccgmag.com. If you want to text me, they tell me I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's 352-234-0411. Text me. The lines are open. We got young people ready to take your calls if you want to call me, and then bring your questions on that way. So that's what I would say. The other thing is this. In general, you came back on just in time. But the other thing that I want to say is this, is in the time remaining, sir, can you talk to us briefly about your leadership philosophy? And then, what advice would you give to the young men and women in uniform who might have questions, especially in this time of transition? I think the elephant in the room is questions about the speeches that they heard yesterday from the president and from the Secretary of Defense, and how they should proceed, some guidance and some wisdom.
Great, thank you. Let me connect those dots. I'll do my philosophy up front because that's the driver of all that I do. One is you got to lift while climbing. That is my philosophy. And then the second piece is always bring your A game. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So you got to recognize that in all that you do. And so, and those who think the mic is off or things like that, and they get caught saying something, more often than not, those private moments also reflect character. So you're really always on. You got to think that way. You're always on. And in today's world, where there are all kinds of listening devices, there are things that you don't want everybody to know. But if they do, like if you ever catch something or hear something I said, if it was really me saying it, I'm going to own it. And I'm going to tell you why I said it, but it was probably designed to do some basic principles. One is I try to treat everybody like I want to be treated. That means I'm not going to do anything to hurt you, to damage you. It's fundamental truths to say, one, you reward in public, you punish in private. So that's sometimes what you'll pick. But if someone wants to expose it, go for it. And I'm going to own it. The second thing, as I said, live while climbing. There's an inherent responsibility that all of us, black, white, brown, but especially in the black and brown, for those who are successful, you've either been sponsored and or found a code word or code to your levels of success that you need to, as you're moving, you need to reach back and find others who you can relate to, others who may see inspiration and aspiration in you. And even if that you don't know it, you got to recognize that you have that responsibility. So as you progress, always look back to make sure that you lift the while climbing. So those are fundamental truths. You talked about David Stewart. David Stewart and I went to the same university, a small, less than 3% university of people of color, less than 3%, 14,300 students that were black or brown. And as was David Turner. In 150 in a history of 150 years, we've produced 6 general officers. 2 happen to be African American out of that population. But if you do the math, that is an infinitesimal percentage for success to make general officer out of that kind of a population. What's in it? It's grit, it's hard work. It is one never doing the what's wrong, why can't I? Instead, it's leveraging all the opportunities that you have. There's a motto that also I share with everybody, especially in these times. I don't own it. I just live by it. Do your job, okay? Whatever it is that you got, do your job. Don't look at, I have a class I give and I call it the value of one. The value of one is made up of those things that you must do and then those things that can be impediments. You view the impediments, but you plan to plow through. And so in that value of one, you have to figure out how to do that. So you're always trying to achieve your one. So if you're doing your job, you don't get bogged down. You recognize it and you plow through. You got to think that way. You got to think that way. And that's the way that a communications person like Dave Stewart plowed through. He didn't get caught up in Higginsville that he's from a town that is very poor. Poverty rates are like 40%. He didn't stay there. He moved himself forward. And you can tell him, by the way, as the second best leaper that came out of Central Missouri, he
Who was the best leaper? Who was the best?
I have a 39.5-inch measured vertical, not running, standing flat footed. So I shared it with you.
Okay.
Oh, no, excuse me. Now it's sheets of paper, but it used to be that.
That's right.
but anyhow, it was really and truly an environment where you realize you learn that people are people. Now I'm going to now walk it forward to what you heard last night and yesterday. To be fair, there was an incredible motivating speeches that were given, but they were given at a level that was, in all honesty, about 3 or 4 grades below the folks just talking. That was probably the biggest hit in there, but it was a great speech. It was about standards, because it goes to the same thing I'm talking about right now. If you plow through and you know what the standard is, that's your goal, always to exceed the standard. And if you're exceeding the standards with an attitude that says, I'm doing this, but I'm doing more. I'm not trying to just be above water. I'm not trying to be the GOAT in the class. I'm trying to be better than I was. I'm trying to be better than where I stand. People will notice both your effort, your energy, and your ability to exceed those standards. Our challenge yesterday was listen to where we were now, as listening to where we've got to go to. I listened to Dr. Taborn. He was spot on in the fact that we bring folks all over the world all the time, but we never do what we did. Yesterday was unprecedented. It was unprecedented in terms of the scope and the specifics that were brought there. 07 to 010, all of them at one place. The security risk was in many cases minimal in terms of our capabilities to secure that number of people, but it was a great target. The thing that caused me the greatest concern was, in fact, the talent that was in that room for an unclassified speech. Other than that, remember this, to all of us, the president and the SecDef get to give orders, and as long as they're not illegal or immoral, it is incumbent on us to always support and move forward. We are a great nation and always have been a great nation. You know, I would tell everybody that, first of all, I read the Declaration of Independence every month. I read the Constitution every 3 months, because in there you'll find that there were 3 things. We dared as a nation to fight with a pickup team, the greatest nation in the world at that time. Now they're 2.5 or 2.0, I don't know, but we're the greatest nation in the world. And we got there because we dared to be great. We dared to say, let's go 13. Let's go 13 states. And if any one of us says no, we don't do it. New York abstained, and we went 12-0-1. And then we stepped out with 20,000 volunteers to take on this nation. I take great pride as a South Carolinian, because I believe with all the battles that we fought there and what we did was Francis Marion Green and Swamp Fox, we made it real, and we made this nation a great nation. We broke away. And in 1812, we withstood the second counterattack, if you will, down in New Orleans. And then we even had the same organization under Jackson go into Spanish territory in Florida and say, we're not going to take a belly attack either. And he was willing to get court-martialed to do that. See, that's greatness. That's greatness. And then the question of what kind of a country we're going to be, whether it's blood in or blood out, we settled that. See, so it wasn't one single period. And by the way, it was all along. And some of us start to argue and say things like, well, they didn't talk about women. Well, nobody in the world did at that time. Mm-hmm. But in 1921, we broke that code. Then they say, well, but they didn't address Black people. when they did this. That's not a true statement. That's a lie. As a matter of fact, by omission of any word in slavery in the Declaration, it was a recognition by both Jefferson and Adams and Benjamin Franklin, who forced that issue to say, we know it's not right, but to keep us together, to get that vote to be 12, 13-0, or at least 12-1, we will pull out the words, but we will not mention it one way or the other. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. That's what, see, this is greatness. Greatness dares to be. And then as Martin Luther King Jr. always says, we're an experiment. We're an experiment. Now, I walked that to get to this point because it was mentioned yesterday. Diversity is not our strength. Well, that's not true. Diversity is our strength. I'm an 18-hour guy. I was a paratrooper, and in 18 hours plus flying time, I'd be anywhere in the world. One of the things I could do in my formation, because of our diversity, I had somebody in my formation, in my brigade or battalion formation, that was from that part of the world. See, we kind of sometimes forget diversity is about us as a people being something that's real special. And MLK called us that we are an experiment. Most other nations have risen and been built up from tribal relationships that are almost homogeneous. We're not. Our homogeny is in the unity. This is where the Secretary gets right, in the unity of our Constitution. The idea that all men are created equal. That's what binds us. We fought a war. We broke the code. We bled our greatest numbers of a people. And that's what makes us great. It allows us to envision better. Our science, technology, engineering, and math is unparalleled at the advanced levels. That's why they flood our schools, because our innovative minds make our graduate schools the tops in the world. Because it's our freedom of thought that makes us great. Mm-hmm. That comes from our diversity. That makes us great. And so I say all of that to go full circle. You can listen to all the things you want to, but always come back to this. America is the shiniest city in the hill because we fought to be that, and we got there. The only warning I will give everybody from what you may have heard yesterday is this. We became a War Department because we had two departments, Department of War, Department of Navy. And we became a Department of Defense because of that. Because strategically, we are trying to defend our freedoms. We're trying to defend our ideal as a nation and to defend our core of our beliefs. Now, we got to be warriors in that. Absolutely. We got to fight. The day I retired, I did 82 push-ups and 82 sit-ups. And I was running a 16:30 because my leg was blown. I never got back to my 12:15 2-milers. But I did that. I agree that we ought to look like soldiers, but at the same time, every time I think about it, there was a soldier I had named Benjamin Hume. He looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy, but only one person in the entire battalion could outrun him. Okay? So we have to be very careful about appearances. The best basketball player I ever had was a kid named Rick Gosnell. He was 5'7". Rick ran a 5:15 mile, and Rick could load up the basket. So I've learned that appearances are one thing, reality is another. Wow. So the warning that I share to us as a nation to be careful of is when you make warriors, when you train people to be simply warriors, you cannot unleash that kind of a mentality on the people because it's hard to turn it off. And we never want our military and our civilian population to see each other as not inherently one. So you got to be careful in what you're asking for. You got to be careful. There's a reason why the British, before they send their troops into Northern Ireland, they took a 6-week transition period to get their minds right, to be hesitant to pull the trigger. In the Army, we have what's called Battle Drill 1. Battle Drill 1 is seek cover, return fire. You can't do that with civilians. You better be careful because it's not a line. And oh, by the way, bullets don't know to stop at friendlies. So that kind of, yes, sir.
I mean, what you're saying is so great. I just want to interject a couple of things real quickly
Sure.
and get your opinion. Number one, Dave Stewart swears to me that he does 100 push-ups every day.
I do 100.
I can't even do one, and I'm thin. And you know, I'm telling you, that's what Dave says. Dave says he does 100 push-ups every single day, and
I don't doubt it.
I'm going to send him this video because, or he may be listening right now. But here's my question to you. I had the opportunity to sit down with Lloyd Austin and the chief of staff, the three of us in the room at the Pentagon with no aides. So I cannot talk about what we talked about. But we had a over an hour-long conversation, and all of those other admirals and generals were sitting outside of the room, but it was only the three of us in that room because they're part of Bay of Stars and Stripes. And they believe, as you know, they did not show up on time. They've been showing up over 30-something years. These men and people like Michelle Howard, I have not just come out of out of an eggshell. I have met with all of the chiefs of the Marines, the Army, whites, all of them, right? And I say that when I talk, the only reason I brought up white is because I've met with all of them. And I know what excellent looks like. So in your mind, to say that we got rid of Brown and other people because they benefited, what does that say to our troops and to all of us? You know, the first person who died in the Revolutionary War was a Black person. Yeah. So what does that say about the contributions that we've made and the tremendous history of the military and, bringing folks together, right? Because the enemy has always tried to divide the military, right? In the war and everything else. They would say, Black people, why are you fighting with the white man against us? The enemy has always found ways of dividing us. So I just kind of wonder, I'm not beating up anybody. I'm not beating up the secretary.
I see where you're headed. I see where you're headed. Let me, if I may. You got to put yourself on the other side. It's many who oppose the ideas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by the way, never just let DEI be stated, because that's something else ugly. That's an ugly word. That's like woke. That's like using the word woke. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is and access, because that's what it all leads to, is access. And so when you say things like that, let's put General C.Q. Brown in a specific framework. General C.Q. Brown was actually promoted by President Trump. He just forgot that, okay? The second thing is, General C.Q. Brown will tell you in all of his conversation, he never competed against or tried to be the best Black pilot. He competed to be the best pilot. He was, in fact, the #1 pilot in the original Top Gun, which is the Air Force's version. And he became an instructor in that version. And as a young man, when his plane, you talk about bravery, when he had to pop out of his plane that blew up, he hopped back in the next one and flew again, and never quit flying until it was just a period where you time out. So when people say that, you got to make sure they understand who C.Q. Brown is. And so when people start talking about the history of who we are, John Hancock defined Crispus Attucks, the first American to die for this country. It is the plowing and it's the vision to see who's behind us coming up next. And then your willingness to plow through, because if you fight just for today and for yourself, we fail. We've been in this period of time where people sometimes question who we are. But the truth, like I'm a basketball player. I was a former basketball player. I'm I'm an athlete. And so what happens is I'm going to compete. I will not always, or even for me personally, I will not always be the number one guy, but I'm going to be well ahead of the last guy. And there's going to be a whole bunch of other guys behind me. And then there's a cut line for standards. And by the way, when I say 82 push-ups, that's not just in the course of a half hour. That's 2 minutes or less. Those are the timelines you're going at, because I could do a lot more, but that's the time window, because that's the standard I came in under as a 17-year-old, and I tried to sustain it because that was my target.
General,
yes,
General, sir. I'm going to tell you, I'm bringing you back on, okay? Because your words are prophetic. Your insight is awesome. I'm going to bring on two. I got another general who I'm bringing on, and I would love to have this discussion in the briefing room about leadership. I think between the two of you, we're going to get out the fullness of the discussion and how young officers and young enlisted personnel can really thrive in today's military. Sir, I know you're on LinkedIn. I want to encourage everyone to follow you on LinkedIn, to follow the work that you're doing. I want to thank you for jumping on this show. I wrote down what you said. But the big takeaway is standards and appearance are different. And we got to make sure that we are focused on standards and quality and not appearance, because appearance is subjective. So
standards to mission, and that's standards to mission. That's the important thing.
Right.
Now, the last thing I would say, because I want everyone to understand this is really important. But behind me represents that's a plaque from my time as a brigade commander. But this, every time I open my mouth, I'm representing, I hope, is the goodness of America. We are indeed the finest nation in the world. We have warts. We have places where we've stumbled, but we still gotten back up every time.
Yeah.
And that's the hope, and I'm going to leave you with one piece. My 3 M's.
Go ahead.
My 3 M's are not material. It's about Martin, Malcolm, and Mandela. I carry the hope of Martin. I carry the fire of Malcolm. And I carry the forgiveness of Mandela. We have to have all those components. Otherwise, we become a gang and we look for our turn on top to get back. We ain't doing that. Thanks.
Thank you very much, General. All right. My next guest coming up is my good friend, Lau Hogue. Now, Lau has been a warrior. He's been a senior enlisted leader. He's been a military civilian executive. He's been a member of the senior executive service. And just yesterday, he has transitioned out of federal service into his next adventure. And as many of you are out there facing either reduction in force or your next adventure, I want you to pay close attention. Send me questions, mbowman@ccgmag.com. Go to STEM City, get in the chat, and ask questions of either Brigadier General Gordon Bray or Mr. Lau Hogue. So welcome, Lau. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt, before Lau comes in, let me say this. This is our premiere show. And just so the public knows, it was 72 hours ago we decided we were going to do the show. 72 hours ago. And look at the quality of our first guest. I know Lau, he is unbelievable. We could have had Kip Ward, we could have had Lloyd, all of those folks, and they will be on the program at the time. But I am blown away with the two guests we've had so far, who probably were called this morning, right, or last night, to make themselves available, because what we're talking about, what we're trying to fill the void with our men and women out there is to give them a safe place where they can look at people who share their values and can help them understand what's happening. This is not a show in which we're going to criticize anybody. This is a show in which we will continue to build the Bea community, a like-minded community of innovation, excellence, and how we move people and our folks forward. And I just wanted to get that out there. Back to you, sir.
Wow.
Well, yes, gentlemen, thank you so much, Doc Taborn. Always pleasure to see you, sir. And Matt, you know, I consider you such a good friend and colleague and leader. So when you called and asked if I could come onto the show, you know, the answer was obvious, right? And believe so much in the mission that y'all are doing with the focus on STEM, and it's just really kind of fortuitous that I ended up in Augusta, Georgia. With, if you just do a quick little research, you find out this is kind of one of the blazing trails here for STEM, with the Cyber Center of Excellence out at Fort Gordon, just 15 minutes from where I'm sitting talking to you gentlemen today. NSA is out there, 6,000 folks. Cyber School, you have Savannah River nuclear power plant that's doing a bunch of things in relation to STEM in the nuclear field. Augusta University has a leading field, you know, is a leading educational, leading in research with STEM fields. One of the first questions that I asked when I went out to an AUSA breakfast, I was talking to different people, getting kind of reacclimated back to, you know, being out of Washington. And I said, hey, what are we doing for STEM for young people? Cyber, you know, feeder systems. I'm always thinking, feeder systems into adulthood and how we prepare young people. And, you know, there's this whole cyber patriot movement here through the Alliance for Fort Gordon that has K through 12 cyber, activities, schools, education, and all of that. And the Georgia Youth Science and Technology Center that's, again, building on all of these things. So I landed right here in the middle. And then, Matt, you give me a call and I'm thinking, wow, this is just really great. I can have an opportunity, a platform to talk about all the great and wonderful things that are happening in the Augusta, or I like to say greater Augusta, Georgia area with regard to STEM. So thanks for having me on. That's a quick opening, and I really appreciate y'all and what you're doing.
So real quickly, just let me say this, and I'm because we want to hear from you. Mm-hmm. I want the audience, everyone looking at this, to understand you're sitting on a metaverse. You're sitting on top of a digital twin. Right. In addition to that, this is powered by artificial intelligence and predictive information. So this entire conversation we're having, the STEM City platform is learning from this conversation.
Nice.
And it's becoming smarter. So when you go back and you click on the 2D piece and you type in, who is Matt Bowman? Or if you're a teacher, you can type in, create a lesson plan, intro to algebra, and show me people in the people on this platform, how they use algebra in the military. It will and give me 10 hours of lesson plans. You can do that right now on this platform, right this second. And that's why General Lester Lyles when he presented the STEM City platform to Congress and everybody else, we were labeled as one of the platforms to watch. So you're watching, if you know, it may seem seamless, Matt, to everybody out there, but you're watching one of the only platforms in the world like this.
That's right.
That we've created, and so I applaud everybody who participates in this opportunity.
Well, Doc, thank you for that. That generative AI and the AI that undergirds all this is so powerful. Lau, there are millions of Americans who are sitting at home right now, and because the government is shut down, and there's others that their last paycheck was last Saturday for DRP. You've making a transition. What advice? What would you say to those who are leaving service as they've known it for a new opportunity?
Great question. So number one, speaking personally, something that I heard that just really has made an impact on me is this phrase: you can't have a testimony without a test.
Mm.
And you are going. So my simple answer to that is you're going to go through some challenging times. You have to make some. You've got to do two things. You got to think strategically and you have to think critically. And the difference in those are time. So strategic thinking, you get to sit down and you think about where you want to go 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 3 months from now, depends where you're at on this path. But you got to be able to sit down and think strategically how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to fashion a new career. What are your strengths and weaknesses? A lot of questions you ask yourself. But then you have to think critically because you have to make decisions today. I've got to move. I've got to sell a house. I've got to, hit the WANA. I mean, old school, right? You got to do a new resume. You got to, talking about AI, right? Learn how to quickly use AI to help you in resume writing, right. To quickly, to use AI to screen a job offering and see if your resume is a good fit and the strength of your resume against that job offering. AI can do that in a second for you. Wow. So you have to think critically and you have to think strategically, and you have to do them both at the same time as you're doing this transition. And that was something that I really, I've always been involved, y'all know, in strategic thinking and doing that on a big Army platform level and policy writing and Army people strategy and things like that. But I had to do it for myself. I had to think critically, what am I going to do next month? What am I going to do the month after? I had to think strategically, long range. And I'm still doing it. As I make this transition to real estate, there's new goals that I have to accomplish. There's new things I have to do. Where do I want to be in 6 months in this field? So that would be my first big thing is you've got to sit down, clear your mind, get focused on what's left and think strategically or think critically. Wow. I mean, that is.
Hey, by the way, when you open up your real estate office, open it up in STEM City, USA. Okay. Create your digital twin, which is it will be persistent. It'll be 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Anything that people could do walking into your office on the STEM City platform, you will have an interactive experience. And instead of having 100 people walking into your office on the STEM City platform, you can have thousands of people walking into your office.
I will look that up, Doc. That sounds awesome and something that I need to have.
Yeah. It's scalable.
Yes. Gotcha.
That's why we're moving into an area, Matt. I know we only have 5 minutes left, but let me tell you, artificial intelligence, the metaverse, digital twins are creating abundance of wealth. Not having anything limited. If you truly listen to me and you're listening to what we've been able to do, you can create a abundance of opportunities on our STEM City platform.
And that entrepreneurial spirit, that's part of that warrior culture. It is what you're doing in Augusta, Doc, what you've created with STEM City. It's available to every single one of you who is sitting at home now, who might be furloughed, who might be thinking, as Mr. Hogue said, strategically and critically. So definitely pay attention to that. This show lasts 1 hour. And so I'm going to give sir, if you'll give me 30 seconds, Doc, if you'll give me 30 seconds, and then I'm going to close this show. This is our inaugural show, and I'm going to close it with a salute to a hero. So I want to do it in the time remaining. So Lau, over to you for 30 seconds.
Well, again, thanks again. I will say in lines of leadership that in these times you have to be eternally optimistic. There's going to be so many challenges and so many naysayers, and you just have to move past all of that. And whatever point you're doing, whatever transition you're making, you have to believe. I mean, like I said earlier, it's a test of your faith. You have to be optimistic. You have to be motivated. You have to be focused. You have to be determined. And then the last thing is now 10 seconds. Don't be afraid to try something new. Be a continual learner. I went through the real estate course this past year, and was thinking, Lau, what are you doing? You're a 60-year-old man, and you're going to learn and take this 4-hour test, 152 questions, and learn a whole new industry. Who are you kidding? But you just put your head down and you do it. Be a continual learner, have eternal optimism and motivation, and think critically and strategically.
Lau, Bail Stars and Stripes, we thank you. Dr. Taborn.
You have to work very hard at being stupid in this environment. There is so much information at our fingertips that you can have. People may not know this for the fun. I've often been asked, what do I do for fun? Believe it or not, I am a certified travel advisor.
Did not know that.
I am a certified travel advisor, and I figured it out a couple of years ago. Why am I spending every penny I spend on travel, I can get 10 to 20% back. Every cruise I take, I just took a cruise, 18% of what I spent came back to me as a advisor. So it's sort of like I just heard about the real estate side. You've got to work to be stupid in this environment. And I will say continual learning that happens on STEM City as a wraparound environment to bring all of these resources to the community. That's what we're working on. I'm trying to build $1 billion corporate company. And I believe, I may not personally get us there, but my concept, my belief, what I'm doing will create a $1 billion company, and it will happen in the metaverse, powered by the AI technology stacks that we have built.
Well, Doc, $1 billion is how we're going to close this segment. For all of you, from one warrior to all of the other warriors out there who are listening, whether you're police officers, firemen, service members, or community leaders who support veterans, Bay of Stars and Stripes has one mission, and that's to create more engineers for America. That's what we do. Come join us at the Waves of Change conference on October 23rd to October 25th in Baltimore. Come join us in February 13th through 15th, where you can learn more about what we do and join this ecosystem of 50,000 professionals. My name is Matt Bowman. I'm signing off. Become everything you are.
Here are 6 reasons why you should attend the Women of Color STEM Conference. 1. Meet experts and influencers. WOC attendees come from all rungs of the career ladder. While you won't necessarily meet your business idol, You will meet accomplished women who are experts in their field, one of whom might just be your next mentor. 2. Break out of your comfort zone. Sessions like the Woman to Woman, Up Close and Personal is one example of the type of event that will challenge you to look at your career in a whole new way. It is just the type of event you need to forge new ways of thinking. 3. Educational opportunities. WOC seminars and workshops offer new ideas and trends, exposure to different point of views, new ways to be more productive, opportunities to learn from others, and ways to improve skills and knowledge. 4. Networking with peers. WOC offers opportunities to mix and mingle and form new relationships. It is a valuable resource for best practices to uncover new ideas and spark inspiration when you get to know each other over coffee, lunch, or cocktails at a WOC event. 5. Position yourself as an expert. Frequent attendees to WOC are often asked to lead workshops at the conference. This goes a long way in establishing you as an expert in your field. You'll boost your reputation among your peers, clients, and employer. They'll feel good about their association with you. 6. Have fun. Enjoyment while managing career growth can be rewarding and fun. A little fun with interesting people can be very powerful.